that has been built for Hugendubel. It is the Hugendubel eBook Reader 3.0, but the company who makes it is TrekStor. It comes with this manual provided by Hugendubel. It also comes with step-by-step instructions on how to download books from the Hugendubel website. It does not come with this accessory, which is a cover to protect it, but it does come with a cable, USB cable, to connect it to your computer and to charge it. However, if you want to charge it using your wall outlet, you will have to get some kind of an adapter. This happens to be the adapter that they provide, a charger that they provide through Hugendubel. You can also use the one that is provided on the end of the Amazon Kindle, if you happen to have one. This particular one, of course, is for a European market, so you'll have to get an adapter for your market, which in our case would be the US market. To turn on the TrekStor, you just press the power button at the bottom, and you can see here the current book that I'm reading is right here. There are various other books that I've purchased, as well as a number of books that are preloaded. They're just actual samples of various books on the Hugendubel site. Here you can see the battery charge. Here you can see the number of titles. Basically we're page 1 out of 7 pages of titles. And then over here we have the date and time, which may not be visible to you here, but that's what's there. Over here on the right-hand side, which is not very handy for a left-handed person, you'll see a number of different options, as well as your forward and backward buttons. And notice that when you first start up, if you just start pressing the forward and backward, these seem to be working fine. Let's see if we can get this to work. This wasn't working for me earlier. And when I first press it, this is the actual settings menu, it doesn't work unless I've noticed a lot of glitches with this product. So I'm hoping that they're going to come up with some software upgrades. But basically I scrolled down a little bit and maybe I can get it to work now. It seems not to want to work. So instead we'll go into one of the books and I will just show you what is available. Let's go back to the first page. Okay, so here we've got, right now I only have PDFs and EPUBs loaded. However, there are some other formats that are supported. The book that I'm reading right now seems to take a while to load. It's a newer book. It's possible that the size is an issue, but I still think it takes an awful long time to load. It takes much longer than anything else I've ever seen, especially with the Kindle. I have to say I have to compare it with the Kindle because that's what I also own, and so it's much easier to compare. Okay, so once you are on a page and you want to let's try and use the menu again. Now, I'm not sure why it doesn't want to show me the menu. It's like sometimes you can access it and sometimes you can't. So let's not worry about that at the moment. Let's see if we can use the button below, which is for resizing the page. That also doesn't seem to want to work. So sometimes these things work and other times they don't, and I'm not sure what's causing a problem with that. So let's go into this PDF I have. the PDF. I've increased the size of the font, and you'll notice that in a PDF it doesn't resize very well. The rendering's somewhat poor. Okay, now I can actually see the different text sizes, and the original text size for this one was set to what they call normal, which was quite small for this particular PDF. Okay, now let's go into brightness, and the brightness setting if I can. I'm still having a problem accessing the main menu, which is a big problem. I really think the product is not as good as it could be, and I still am not sure why it won't go in to that menu. Okay, so if you pick, let's try picking a different book. This is a dictionary, so you can actually get some dictionaries, which is a very handy feature for someone who wants some references available to them online. And you can also view the same references using the main program that comes with through Adobe for installing the books on this product. Now notice I finally got this menu to come up, and I don't know why it won't come up every time. Anyway, here are some of the options. Add bookmark, bookmarks, go to page, music, auto flip, book information, rotate, display settings, add to favorites, and decode settings. These are the ones that you will see when you go into a particular book, but they aren't the main menu settings. And notice that when you go down the list, well, this time it's working, but another time I tried to go back up the list and I could not. Now let's see if I can go back down the list. It took a minute for it to allow me to do that. And let's look at the display settings. Note that you can change the font color. You can change, let's see what we've got here. Let's try changing the font color to red. And then you can also change the background. Let's do a preview of this change that I made. I don't see the change take place. So it may be that particular files can be changed, but not this particular file. Okay, so now here, the other issue I've been having with this is brightness. I've noticed that I've set it quite low. It's actually basically at 0%. And yet, every time I turn off the ebook reader and then turn it back on, it goes back to some default brightness setting. And I find it too bright. So now if I go up to 10%, it finally shows a brightness setting that's closer to what I had set mine to. And I had actually set it to 0, which I don't know if that really exists, but it's close enough. Let's just leave it at 10% and then say OK. Alright. Now if you go out of here at the main menu, let's see if we can get back into the main display. It doesn't seem to want to do that again. No. And yet sometimes it does work, so I'm not sure why this particular feature is not working right now. If you have music installed, you would use this play, pause. Probably it also supports audible files of some type and or audiobooks. But again, I can't seem to get this to work, and that seems a little strange. Let's say, let's go back down here. I'm going to pick a regular book, EPUB. This really takes a long time to load. And this is definitely not advantageous. And sometimes I notice even the power, the amount of battery life seems to run lower, depending on what you're doing. So let's try again. And right now it's not working. So there's some glitches, definite glitches. And maybe I'll find out more from reading the manual, but I have a feeling some of these things are definite problems with the product. The other thing which I can't show you if I can't get that up, if I can't display that list, is that the translation for the English is not exactly perfect. They say photo instead of photos, they say favorite instead of favorites, but in general it's not too bad. It is definitely, as far as I know, I think I read somewhere that it's a Chinese product. Yep, it's made in China. So I guess there's not much more you can expect. Of course, other things are made in China, so that's not totally an issue. Now for the actual software that works with this, we use Adobe Digital Editions. The reason why is that the e-reader is not a touchscreen, and it does not have any Wi-Fi, so therefore it doesn't connect directly to the internet, and you will have to use Adobe Digital Editions to download your books. So you'll download your books like I've done here, and you can actually read the books through here too. You don't have to use an e-reader to read the books, but of course it's handy to have portability. So over here in the corner you've got Go to Library View, which is what we're at right now. You will have all your items listed, and when you have the e-reader connected to your computer, it will show up as an icon down below, and all you'll have to do is drag your book to your e-reader and it will be installed. Okay, one other thing I'd like to mention is that I was able to get to some display settings to change the font color, and you can do the font color change on EPUB books. In this case I am looking at red, which may or may not be obvious here, but I will change that preview to green so you can see that. Okay, so there it does change, but I wouldn't say that changing the color is necessarily very good. It doesn't seem to help the person's eyes at all. So we'll go back to font color of black. Okay, background, we still want white, of course. And then notice how it went back again on my brightness. I wanted 10%, but I had turned it off and on again, and so yeah, so it doesn't stay where you set it initially. So we're going to preview. We're at 10% in brightness, and we're back to where we want to be. Okay, so that's working pretty well. Here we'll change. Let's see if we can get the font size to change. And again, I'm having problems with this e-reader. This e-reader has been giving me many problems today, and I don't think it's just because I'm making a video, but I seem to not be able to switch to the different menus to make settings changes, and this is a very frustrating thing. So I don't know how long this e-reader will last. I've only had it a short time, and look, now it comes up. I don't know if it's just a slow program or what, but anyway, here are the options: sort by, go to page, bookmarks, get more ebooks, music, Photos, File Explorer, Settings, and Favorites. And notice that they say Favorite and Photo and not Favorites and Photos. Settings, Brightness, Date Time, Device Standby, Format Memory, About Product, Power Management, Restore Factory Settings, Language, and there are many languages to choose from, by the way. Auto Screen Rotation, which I immediately turned off because it was constantly turning even when I didn't want it to, and the User Manual. So, in general, it seems to work for what you need as a basic product, but I would definitely say the software needs some updating, and maybe there's an issue with how these little pads are placed and the contacts underneath. If you have any questions on the product, please feel free to leave a note. I will try to respond if I can. Thank you.